It's that time of the week again, although I am a few days late this time. We're reading out the Nemesis 6.3a. So basically, what's Nemesis? Eugen releases filler DLC in between the major expansions, and that's called Nemesis. Essentially, you get one NATO division and one Pact division, and every other Nemesis you get to vote on which ones you want. So this is our third vote, and each time they give you three options, so six total divisions, three pairs, and then you vote for whichever one you want. So this is the final option. If you want to see the videos of the other options, just click on the channel, right? It's all on the channel. It's all on the channel. Uh, so if you take a look, down here, etc., etc., right? This was 6.2b, 6.2a, and so on. So we'll go through it in excruciating detail, as is the case. You guys really like watching these videos. They're like my best performing videos, so do what I'm told. Nemesis 6.3, School's Out. Welcome back, Commanders. We have returned with the third and final Nemesis 6 preview. In today's devblog, School's Out, with two opposing special training formations. The West German, Wehrfungstruppenkommando 42. Wehrfugungstruppenkommando. Wehrfugungstruppenkommando. Right. It's been a while since my German lessons. So.
Verfügungstruppenkommando.
That's literally what I said, bro. Actually, I gotta get the 42 right.
Verfügungstruppenkommando 42.
42. Oh, because Vier Zig is 14, isn't it? Vier Zig or Vier...
Verfügungstruppenkommando 14.
Okay, whatever. Reserve Troop Command 42 and the Soviet 71YA Zapaznaya Tankova Division, or the 71st Reserve Tank Division. So, let's go. This Nemesis option is a little special. It not only provides two new divisions, but also a new way to play with the proposed introduction of the new Instructor trait. Both divisions will be built around units with this specific trait, seasoned soldiers leading less trained reservists into battle, removing some penalties and boosting nearby units' combat performance. So yeah, if you recall, the first Nemesis vote is Nemesis 2. In one of the options, they were like, and this one comes with a drone. And it was obvious they wanted that one to win. So that one won because, wow, it comes with a drone, a new feature. At the time, there were no drones in the game. And then they just started adding drones to all the divisions. So this idea that if you don't vote for this, you don't get this, is has a track record of being incorrect. So just keep that in mind. Because, yeah, I do remember that. They're like, wow, this is the only Nemesis option with a drone. The only division in the game with a drone. And then they just started adding drones to everything, and now loads of divisions have drones. So don't be like, I need this one for the Instructor trait. I would be surprised. I'd be very, very surprised if that was the case. The Instructor trait, as we're proposing it, will likely have the following effects. Instructor-traded units will remove nearby reservist trait penalties, same as the military police already does. They will also boost nearby units' performance, as leader units currently do. They will not be able to capture command zones, and they will only affect units in their particular category. For example, a tank instructor will only affect other tank units, an infantry instructor will only affect infantry, etc. Replacing leader units in the tank and inf categories, these instructors will turn a horde of raw conscripts into a regular fighting force for much cheaper. However, the only units to keep on capturing command zones will be the leader units left in the Logi tab. Prepare to organise your battle group well. So this is overall a very good idea. Essentially, you've got this problem where, like, okay, so CVs up vet units, great, but you get so few of them that you can't really use them for frontline work. So if you think about a division like 24th US, probably the best example of this, right? 24th US has these Abrams that can't be upvetted, and the fact that they can't be upvetted is a total pain in the neck. So you need a CV next to them and a military police next to them. And so the idea, the plan on paper is that you get one of these, right, and you put this near these, and you bring some military police, and you also get this military police vehicle, which, to be honest, it should be this squad, really. Um, and this vehicle, so you put this 25-point vehicle and this 240-point tank with your 190-point tank, and then all of a sudden you've got a 190-point tank that's actually worth like 200 points or 210 points or whatever. So it's a big investment, and the enemy just always will snipe these CVs because they're so important. You only get two in a card, right? Most of the time you're only getting two in a card. Sometimes it's three. Is a three, right? So it just doesn't work. If you think about the investment, right? So this instructor idea is really good because if they have an instructor tank, you would assume it would have higher availability, and then yeah, then you can sort of blob your tanks. It also depends how big the circle's gonna be, right? Because if you look at, might as well just show you this. The circle is not very big in terms of you need to be in a radius around the commander for him to vet you, and you can see the radius, because basically you don't want to blob too much because then you all die to one thing, right? So if you take a look at this, this is the circle, and you see you can't actually be that far away from him before you know. I don't know if you can see that because of the compression and so on. It's a white circle and it's like this. Just follow it with my cursor, and the military police circle's even smaller. So you basically what ends up happening is people just press F and they just just follow it, and then they'll just follow this guy around. But then you all die to one cluster plane, and those got buffed. The high altitude cluster planes and bombs drops faster now, right? And sometimes you get this problem where, like, if I stop to smoke, the tank in the back will push me. I mean, it didn't really happen there, but it does happen where if you stop to smoke, if there's a tank right behind you, it will push you, and then you won't smoke straight away. It doesn't always happen. As you can see, they usually maintain some spacing, but sometimes they don't, and then you press smoke, and he kind of hits you in the back, and yeah, I can't reproduce it. So it depends how big this circle is. I assume it's just going to be the same as these, right? Hopefully it's more like the CV one and less like the military police one. Although, yeah, because this is definitely bigger. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. But I just want to reiterate this idea that, well, if you don't vote for this, you're never getting this new gameplay feature. Don't be silly. You'll notice they don't actually say that anywhere. It was the same with the drone. Remember the drone? 2.3 lost because of that drone, and then we all got drones, so... So now we need the deepest lore for the what time is it? So 8:31. Deepest lore 42. 43. First up is NATO's West German, I won't bother you with it, which stands for Reserve Troops Command 42 and is abbreviated to, oh yeah, that's a great abbreviation, thanks, I can pronounce that one, Turdo 42. You really can't do anything with this mumble of letters. Instead we'll call it VTK 42 for easiness sake. I don't know, call them hitchhikers maybe. I think hitchhikers might be a good name. You guys let me know. Obviously, these things tend to stick. So 42, obviously the meaning of life, right? So that's why they're hitchhikers. This particular formation would have been a divisional command nestled within Territorial Commando Nord to be activated in case of World War III, so like Territorial Commando Sud. Its role would have been to consolidate, organise and provide leadership to the most combat-ready elements of the Bundeswehr's territorial troops in Northag, aiming to turn them into a light yet cohesive fighting force. The cadre of this new division was the Kampftruppenschule 2. Kampftruppenschule. There's no S. Kampftruppenschule. So, War Troop School. Combat Troop School 2, yes, at Munster, holding some 130 Leopard 1s and 2s, 66 Marders, 20 Lux, and 28 Jaguar 1s and 2s. It was to form the Panzerlehr Brigade 9. I'm not sure what Lehr means, but obviously Panzer Brigade is tank brigade. Administratively part of the 3rd Panzer Division, and Panzeraufklärungslehr Battalion Elf, administratively part of 11 Panzer Grenadier Division. So I need to find out what this Lehr word means. Obviously, I've heard of Panzerlehr from, they were the baddies in World War II, if you recall. What? German. Teach. Interesting. While the latter formation would have quickly joined its parent division, the former would have been held back to form the Hitchhikers instead. The 3rd Panzer Division, now missing a substantial part of its forces, would temporarily have taken over a Dutch brigade until 1st Corps could complete its deployment. Okay. VTK 42, maybe we'll see that at some point. Dutch-German Corps, like in Wargame Red Dragon. VTK 42 would have stood up as a fire brigade with the following components: the Panzerlehr Brigade 9, the Heimatschutz Brigade 62, Heimatschutzregimenten 72 and 82, combat engineer elements from Territorial Pioneer Regiment 72, anti-air detachments from Flugabwehrkommando 1. Okay, so that's flying something commandos. What the hell's Abwehr? Flying defense. Okay, so air defense commandos. Oh, because anti-air, yeah, of course. Sam's from Flarak Regiment 4, and elements from Heeresfliegerversuchsstaffel 910, the helicopter test squadron at Celes. The division will be built around the new. Sorry, guys. So every time there's a German division, we butcher the language. It's a tradition on this channel. The division will be built around the new instructor unit, much like its Soviet counterparts below. While the Warsaw Pact formation is a fully fledged division with low-quality conscripts, the VTK-42 is a regular armoured brigade beefed up with a decent enough level of reservists. However, no divisional assets will be present, meaning 1/3 will be Panzer Brigade, and the remaining 2/3 will be territorial troops, with only a limited amount of supporting arms. This will also result in a more uneven slot allocation across categories. So it's like a souped up version of TKS, basically. TKS stands for Territorial Commando Sud, as in the Southern Territorial Troop Brigade or whatever division, and this is the Northern Territorial Troop Brigade, right? So great. So now we'll get on to the Logi tab and so on. It's probably time for me to thank the generous channel joiners, generously joining the channel. They get their names on the screen, they get the videos early, they spell the word shilling wrong in their notes. One join at the lowest levels worth 2,000 views, so if you're feeling bad about your ad block, it's a great way to support the channel. This is my sole source of income as I try and finish a video game that nobody's going to want to play. That's what those notes at the top I was working something out. Anyway, if you don't want to do that, please just like the video. It makes YouTube recommend it to more people, and as always, thank you for watching. So, the Befugungstruppenkommando 42 in Warno. How will the VTK-42 look like in Warno? New units are marked in both italic and bold. As always, units and categories might be subject to change. The Logi tab is pretty good, with supply units being AN FOB, AN FOB. Yeah, so it depends. I always wondered about stuff like this. Because if you say FOB, then it's a FOB. But if it's AN FOB, because there's actually an E here, then it's AN, right? But I always wondered about stuff like, because I'm doing a PhD in chemical engineering. I should finish it soon, but I can't be bothered. And so if you think about lithium carbonate, Li2CO3, right? So, if you think, what the heck? So Li, come on, man, work with me here. Li2CO3. So if you say a lithium carbonate pellet, right? But if you say an Li, because L is the sound L is EL. So if you're saying an Li2CO3 pellet, this has to be here. But if it's an A lithium carbonate pellet, then it doesn't. And in the end, I just sort of did it differently every time, and they didn't notice. So it was. So I had my final exam. They gave me some corrections. That wasn't one of them, so they clearly didn't care. Anyway, pretty good with supply units being an FOB, a light Unimog S404, and the new heavy Mancat 8x8 munition supply trucks. And the command units include the Iltis Führer and M577 GA2. So this is in the game, but I guess it's not in the game as a supply truck. Excuse me. Sorry, speaking German makes me violently ill. So, oh, I see. So that this is the Mancat 6x6. Interesting. And this is 2,000 supply. So the 8x8 is probably 3,000 supply, because there are a couple that are 3,000 supply. I think it's like 6Y gets it. Oh, did they take that out? Is it in Durine? Durine. This is 2,000. There definitely is a truck that's 3,000 supply. Roll supply. And can we organize by price? Don't think so. There you go, the T815 munitions from East Germany, right? Best Germany, as they say. And so it'll be 2 per card. It'll probably cost about 80 points, right? I mean, it's probably just going to be exactly like this. It might be a bit faster or slower. This is really, really fast, by the way. For something that's carrying apparently half a card, like, I mean, 3,000 supply is like basically, if you just look at like an iHawk. Oh, I see, because I've got the traits. Yeah. Beep, boop. So that's 30 iHawk missiles in the back of the air, and it's going at 85 kilometers an hour off-road. I mean, yeah, it is pretty funny. And command units include the Iltis Führer and M577. So the only new thing here is this one. This Unimog S404 is really nice, actually. So I'll show you TKS, which is one of my favourite divisions in the game. Not because it's super strong, but because it's fun. And you see, here's the Iltis Führung, right? 3 per card car. Here's the M577. It's nice because you get 2 availability and it's only 40 points. I used to have 2 armor, but then one of these history nerds ruined it, so... And then this is the Unimog S404, which is useful because it's so cheap. So you can afford to buy it, like, in between buying other stuff, like... it's hard to think of examples on the fly, but if you think, so 2 of these would be 150, 3 would be 210, or whatever, 215, whatever, 220, something, I can't remember, I can't be bothered. So 225, yeah. And then you'd be able to afford 2 of these or whatever, and they could go with it. So it's a nice supply to have. You will notice that there's... Well, you'll notice for all these Nemesis options, it's like basically something that already exists, minus half of them, and this is a great example. It's like, this isn't there, this isn't there, this has been replaced, this isn't there, and it's... Well, it's just this, but with less. Anyway, finally on to the infantry tab, the actual meat and potatoes. Did I already shill? I think I already shilled. Once again, solid, with a large quantity of infantry stemming from the territorial Heimatschutztruppen featuring the reservist trait. Hooray! This includes Heimatjäger and the new Heimatjäger Panzerfaust, with 2 Uzis, 6 G3A4s, 1 MG3 and a Panzerfaust 44. With both squads deploying in Unimog trucks. So this is a lot worse than regular Heimatjäger. So here's some Heimatjäger, right? And it's actually not a bad squad, because for only 40 points you get 9 guys with the Carl Gustav. It's actually pretty decent. The issue is it's vet locked at 0 and it's reservist, which is kind of a pain. But in terms of like, you just use this as an ambush unit, it's going to get some licks in. So basically a Carl Gustav at 9 HP for 40 points, right? Uh, and you get a lot of them, so you could use them as frontline just sponge, basically. Whereas, like, so Zickerungs used to be the preferred pick, but they're actually, because they don't have an AT, and basically these got nerfed a lot back when Balance Man was running things, and they just basically never got unnerfed, so now people just don't bring them anymore. Because they've got less availability than the Heimat Jaeger, and they don't have any AT. And it's like, okay, well, they're not reservist, which is useful, but, well, I mean, yeah. Uh, yeah. Anyway, this Heimatjäger Panzerfaust is going to be significantly worse because the two Uzis, basically, that's just like having two less guns. Because they'll only be able to fire at 500 meters, and like so the MP5 has really nice accuracy. The Uzi is about half as good. At close range, it helps, but yeah, at like medium range, you just won't be able to shoot. And you'll have a Carl Gustav, so it's going to be at least 35 points if it's the same HP. At least 35 points. It might go down to 30, but at the end of the day, it's still 9 guys with the. So if you think about like Terriers or something, yeah, that's a good point actually. So like Terriers, like 40, Terriers are kind of bad as well. Base Terriers, not because this sort of lets them down, and yeah, so they're probably going to be about 35 points, maybe 30. A few 10-man Heimat Jagdkommando with G3A4s, 1 MG3, Panzerfaust 44 smoke grenades is nice, and the security trait. Tasked with hunting down enemy infiltrators, so the Jagdkommando are in the game, but the reservists aren't. So these are the Jagdkommando, and they're pretty cracked, but they're not who I was thinking of. I guess none of these are called like interesting. I mean, yeah. So it is a new unit basically. 10 guys with smoke and AT. It's not bad. I mean, it's reservist, so it depends. It just depends, right? It's probably going to cost about 40 or 45, well, probably 45 points, because this is 40. Like smoke. So you get one more guy over Heimat Jaeger, and you also get smoke. So it's going to be at least 45 points, but your AT is slightly worse. So it's like +5, +5, -5, so it's probably going to be like 45 or 50 points. Anyway, Reserve Pioneer is so bad, man. Oh dear, I mean, this. And they're just, because, so the idea behind, so Uzi bad, right? 40% accuracy on the Uzi, 85% on the MP5. Excluding veterancy, this would be 80 and this would be 45. It's still a big difference. Basically twice the DPS on the MP5. The thing is, these guys have to get up to the enemy so they can throw a satchel charge, which means they're going to be taking a lot of suppression while they're running up to the enemy, and these guys, they just rout. So there's a reason they're only 15 points. Even at that, people just don't bother bringing them because they don't do anything. So yeah, it's probably not worth it in my humble opinion. Paler Milan 1 ATGM teams are not reservist but veterancy locked and will deploy in Iltis Jeeps. So that is these guys. The Panzerlehr Brigade 9 will provide a small corps of regulars. Okay. To lead the weekend warriors into full-blown combat, the new Verklehrergruppe can deploy. What the hell? So this is teacher squad, but what is Fach? Oops. Pete's sake, man. Specialist teacher group. Yeah, okay. Interesting. I did German for GCSE, so I sat the exam when I was 20 when I was 16, And I did it from like 13 to 16, basically. I'm 28, so, we do forget things. A six-man squad with... I got an A star, though. I got the highest grade. A six-man squad with G3A4s, one MG3, one G3A3ZF, that's the DMR, Panzerfaust 44, and the instructor trait being deployable in Armada 1A3. It's only six guys, but, I mean, that's interesting. How much will it cost? I mean, it's basically just Panzer Grenadier. Like, it literally is Panzer Grenadier, except with this... Oh, Grenadier. Oh, because it's Panzer Grenadier. Like, because look, there's the G3s, the MG3, the Panzerfaust. And, how much is your instructor trait worth? Well, let's say 5 points, then it'll be 40 points. I think that's probably fair, to be honest, 40 points. This is a very cost-efficient squad to begin with at 35. So at 40, you'll still be quite cost efficient. It just depends how much you think this instructor trait's worth to you. The issue you've got is that the bouncing is basically being done by guys who have like 2,000 hours in the game. And so they're pretty good at, I say we're pretty good at microing a small squad next to another small squad and getting the radii right and then pulling back, because the small squads are quite unforgiving. If you leave it there for a couple seconds, they just die because there's always six of them, and pulling them back and cycling them right. And so, I would just make that 40 points, frankly. Nomad 1A3 Milan, further backed by a few Panzer Grenadier, which you've just seen in the Marder 1A3 Milan and the Marder 1A3, okay. Plus MG3, 762, and Milan 2 weapon teams, so we're back to TKS. Medium machine guns, always useful, right? There it is. And, what was the other one? Milan 2. Okay, so this is obviously the French Milan 2. It is the same. The Paler Milan 2 is in these divisions, right? Okay. So that was it for the infantry tab. So, what have we got here? 27, 21. RT. Pretty mediocre. Instead of the regular allocation of 4 Panzer Artillery and 1 MLRS battalions, the VTK-42 can only count on 1 Panzer Artillery and 1 Heim Artillery battalion. Right, so doesn't this mean like iron or something? Because you can get hemoglobin. Well, I've got something that's like you don't have enough iron, and it's like hemoglobin something. I'm eating lack of iron. Anemia. Okay, well apparently I. Okay, whatever. This must be from hemoglobin. Plus 2 companies of heavy mortars. This means a handful of Panzermörser, M109A3GA1 and Lars 2 from the Panzerlehr Brigade 9, while the Heimatschutz Brigade 62 provides a number of M1A2 105mm howitzers, and the 2 Heimatschutz Regimenten can bring some towed Mrs. Tampeller 120mm mortars. I mean, that's everything you need, but when they say pretty mediocre, they're talking about the slots, right? So if you compare it to TKS, people are like, wow, TKS has good artillery, right? So this thing's really cost efficient because it fires so fast. This is the best arty piece in the game, really, the 203s at one per card. I mean, the Malka's like slightly better, but 2 of these in a 1v1, very effective. Delete enemy heavy tanks. You don't get those. You do get the M109, which is, it comes as 1 card, which if your slots aren't good, it's 1 card of 2 instead of 2 cards of 1. If your slots aren't good, that's very important. The Lars 2 is really only useful in team games. I mean, it has its place. It's just, it fires really slowly, and so if you just leave it shooting and then shift queue a move order, you can actually be counter-batteried because it takes that long to fire all its bullets before moving. The Panzermörser is great. So yeah, like this is good. It's just it's going to cost you a lot. So what do they mean by mediocre? Because this is classed as good on the slot costs. What is mediocre? If you look at something like First UK, I'd say that's probably good as well. HDR's got kind of rough artillery like this 1, 2, 3, 3. It might be something like that. Although they said mediocre, not bad. But even so, all you really need for a 1v1 is a card of this and a card of this, and you're sorted. So all good in the hood. Obviously, if you're a 10v10 player, probably not going to enjoy this arty tab because there's not enough there really. Tanks, pretty good with the Panzer Brigade 9, providing a sizable amount of Leopard 2A4Bs as used by the Dutch in Warno, as well as a card each of both Jaguar 1s and Jaguar 2s. So here's the Leopard 2A4, and so this is a Leopard 2A4B, this is a Leopard 2A4C, right, and you can get it in, I mean, they're the same. The machine guns are different, but they've got the same stats. So the difference between the B and the C is that the C can survive one hit from a 30 AP missile, which is every AT plane in the game bar 2. And that's a really big deal, which is why it costs 30 points more. Because every AT plane in the game bar 2, right? Whether or not that's worth 30 points, it remains to be seen. But yeah, the 2A4B is a lot better than the 2A3 because it does one more pen. And you might think one more pen, no big deal. 21 kinetic is enough to one-shot a 3 armor vehicle, which is BMP-1s. You know, at 1 pip closer, it'll be one-shotting 4 armor vehicles, which is BMP-2s. And 2 pips, it'll be one-shotting 5 armor vehicles, which is BMP-3s. So the one more pen's actually a pretty big deal, and that's why it costs 20 points more. Whether or not it's worth 30 points more for the 2 more armor, it depends which division you're against, basically. But yeah, AT planes just lobbing Mavericks everywhere, a bit of a pain in the neck. The big issue with all the Leopards is that even the most expensive ones get one-shot side shot by Conkers. And that makes using their mobility, because the idea is, wow, they're super fast. Using their mobility is very difficult, because if you get one-shot side shot by a Conkers, which is on almost every single packed division. Yeah, it's a bit of an issue. Jaguar 1s and 2s you'll be very familiar with. The Jaguar, these are really good because they've got mediocre stealth and they've got 6 armor, which means, yes, they can get one shot by Conkers, but the idea is that you're facing enemy tanks usually, and you know, you're in a defensive position. You will shoot before the enemy IFV shoots anyway, and if you shoot before the tank shoots, okay, the tank aims and fires before you hit him, but he hits you, you don't die because you have 6 armor, and kinetic rounds will struggle to kill 6 armor at max range. In fact, I don't think there's any in the game that can do that at max range. You outrange him anyway. And then, so he hits you, you hit him, you both go home, his tank costs 3 times more than yours, you're winning. So really nice pieces of kit, these Jaguars. The Kampftruppenschule 2 2 brings a number of Leopard 1A 3A1s. Sorry, Ein, A, 3, A, 1, which for all intents and purposes are only slightly different visually from the standard Leopard 1A 1A1 model. Oops, I did it again. Hey guys, we're going to put a new tank variant in the game. We're going to make it exactly like the old one because history matters more than gameplay. It's honestly beggars belief. How many of these things have we read where they do this? At least this one's got the instructor trait, but yeah, there's Leopard 1A 3A1. It's different to the 1A 1A1, but we just made it the same because we can't really be bothered, and you know, we're faithful to the history. Well, if you're faithful to the history, well, why did they upgrade it? Why bother? It's the same. The same training formation also held the 2 models at the time and perhaps to this day of the Leopard 1A6. Very cool. A planned 120mm upgrade. In real life, the project was cancelled at the end of the Cold War. In Warno, however, they will be put to use as a single card of Leopard 1A6s, once again with the instructor trait. That sounds really cool. So it's a Leopard 1 with a 120mm gun. And look, you know, the history readers will be spazzing out at the moment. Oh, it was cancelled, actually. But yeah, this is an example of them doing something we like. This is an example of them doing something we don't like. The real question is, will they go ahead and say, well, you only get two? You only get two in the card. But yeah, just to emphasize what this is, so the Leopard 1 is basically a glass cannon to begin with. And if it's a Leopard 1 with 120mm, then it's basically a Leopard 1 with... So, you know, here's a... I'll get the German one, right? Up to a... So, will it have the 21 pen or will it have the 20 pen? Either way, it's going to be a very funny tank. Because it's going to have, like, very little armor, but it's going to be rocking 20 pen. And so it will be the glassist cannon. Or the cannonist glass. There are, of course, tanks with less armor, but in terms of the armor to pen ratio, this will be the best in the game, basically. Obviously, for tank guns, like ATGM's generally low armor, high pen, but that's a really cool idea, so we like that. Hopefully, you don't only get two of them in the card, because, oh, there were only two, and when World War III happened, they didn't bother making any more. Lastly, a few experimental Leopard 2A4Ds will be available. These specimens were actually used to test at the time to test C-type armor and a new muzzle reference sensor, which in real life were to be featured on the 8th batch of Leopard 2A4s in 1991. So that's cool. So it'll have even more armor, because it will be C-type armor. So it'll be this, but with more armor. So that's going to be a very heavy tank, actually. Hopefully it's got to get some more side armor, because that's the main kicker with these Leopard 2s, is that they die in one side shot hit to a Conkers. Whereas if it's got 7 armor, then it won't do that. So, so hopefully they get 7 side armor. Otherwise, it's just gonna. But yeah, how much higher can this really go? I mean, if you think about, so that's 21, right? So this will be the heaviest leopard in the game, basically. So that's cool. Hopefully they do it. I mean, like I said, oh, it's 1991. Honestly, when I get elected to be the Prime Minister of the UK, all these people have names and addresses, and they will be going in the wood chipper to feed Britain's farms as fertiliser. The Heimatschutz Brigade 62 deploys several Heimatschutzen M48A2GA2s and Heimatschutzen Kanj PZs, the former already used in TKS, all with the reservist trait. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty competitive. These things are in TKS. Now, the question is, will they take it from TKS or will they take it from Durine? Because basically what they did is when they first started releasing these reservist units, they didn't make them up-vettable, right? And so you'll notice you can't vet this. And then if you just take a look at the exact same unit, but in a newer division, you can, and it just makes them incredibly useful to be able to, like, this is core on Do Ryan. You always bring 2 cards of these, and they're actually really good at one vet. You know, especially against kind of like light spammy units, so APCs and even IFBs at close range. You know, 2 of these is 20 rounds a minute for 150 points, 20 rounds a minute, right? You won't be one-shotting anybody, but it's a nice tank. And so the question is, will it be 1 vettable because it's newer, or will it be no vettable because in TKS you can't, and this is TK-N? So, you know, Heimat Kanj PZ, so the Kanj PZ is also in TKS, and it's a similar story, really. So, oh no, this one actually can be up-vetted because it's not reservist, so this is actually pretty decent, because it's sort of like the Jaguar 2, except you don't get that in this div, so you have to bring this. But the idea is that it's used on the defensive with mediocre stealth, and you just try and get side shots on things, and it's got, you know, 12 rounds a minute at 2 vet. If it's reservist, it'll be 35 points. So that's really decent. Thing is that they're trash on the attack because it's a stug, basically, because it's not got a turret. It has to turn the whole body of the tank to aim, which means that on the offense, you can't shoot anybody unless they're right in front. I mean, it doesn't really have a stabilizer anyway. Well, it just doesn't. There's nothing there. It'll still shoot. It just won't hit anything. But it will only shoot if they're right in front of it, because otherwise it has to turn the whole tank to shoot, and you can't do that if you're moving unless you're going towards them, right? So they're best used defensively. It's a nice defensive tool. Thing is, you probably won't need them because of these. Especially if you get both cards of these. Yeah, you're probably not going to need this. Especially if you got this. I don't know. We'll see about the slots, right? I mean, it says pretty good, so... Anyway, nice tank tab. I like the idea behind this the glass cannon. I like the idea behind the heaviest leopard. I don't like the... I mean, it's nice to have a tank leader. That's cool. But it's just a shame that there's so few units actually in this game to begin with. And then when they get the because like it's like, oh, there's two Guerrillian units. If you, it's not really the case because of all the stat clones, like new model, same stats, and it's like if they just mixed it up a bit, then there actually would be this number of units in the game. But they don't want to do that. They want to standardize everything. So I've lost me bloody. There it is. Recon. Pretty mediocre. No dedicated recon battalion since that part of the Kampfstruppelschule 2, 2, would have been left to join the Elf Panzergrenadier Division. Okay. Pretty mediocre meaning what exactly? Because like TKS gets nice units in the tab, but the slot costs are... I mean, it's probably going to be like this. I don't know if this was described as pretty mediocre, but the thing is, if this is TKS with less recon, is it going to be even worse than this? Because this is already pretty hard. Pretty bad. This means a basic complement of Aufklärer in Iltis and Jäger-Aufklärer in Unimog and helicopters, plus some Recon Alouette 3s. A few vehicles left behind at the training grounds by the Aufgesapt 11 could provide one card each of Lux and Aufklärer Marder 1A3s, the latter with Milan, but with no dismounted scouts. So that's new unit, so now you've got a recon version of every IFV except the warrior. But also the French one, the AMX 30, AMX 10P or whatever, which not to be confused with the AMX 10 RC. So yeah, the Aufklärer Mard 1A3, so it'll have like mediocre stealth, like a reservist BMP2. Here's your Aufklärer. They're sort of, they're alright. They're nothing special. It's 35-point squad with AT. It's like scouts, the British scouts. And then there's Jäger Aufklärer, are actually really nice. They go 6-4, and they've got 9 strength, so they used to be 11 men, but it's nice because you can actually fight people with these, and they're recon, so you can use them as like kind of your forward deployment attack at the start. I've noticed we've not heard of any forward deployment yet, and given that all that's left is AA helos and air, like this will be your opener, basically. The Jäger Aufklärers and Aufklärer Mard 1A3s. So just briefly, I'll touch on the... This is a Razvedka BMP2, and this is the regular BMP2, so for 30 more points you get mediocre stealth, and you start further forwards, and you get good optics, and you might think that's not worth it. It is, because of the way noise works in this game. Basically, when you shoot, you make noise, and that makes you easier to spot. For some reason, the Razvedka BMP2s can be right next to a regular infantry unit, and just light them up with their autocannon and fire conkers at their transports or whatever, and you still can't see it without a recon. And you can see all the missiles and shit coming out of it and killing you, but you can't see it. And so it's actually really, really good, because it's so hard to deal with, and 4 armor means, it's kind of hard to one-shot, right? It's probably not going to be one-shot by a tank, and it's lobbing conkers at you, so kind of hard to shift. And so if you just kind of apply that principle, so it's 30 more points, right? So this will probably be 85, and it'll have a worse ATGM, but it's got more armor, and it'll be 10 points less, and it'll have mediocre stealth and good optics, most likely. So yeah, that's pretty lit. Thing is, it's not actually coming with anybody in it, and we don't... Oh, because they've been left behind at the training grounds. Okay, do we get more Milan ammo then? Because we can just fill the compartment with Milan ammo. No. That's going to be my assumption, that you will not. Anyway. Yeah. In some cases, that actually makes it better, because the idea is, well, then you can just buy, like, all of them at the start, because you don't have to pay for the guys that come inside. The Razvedka BMP2, if you actually try and buy that on, 79Y, good example... Very meta. You know, you're paying 145 points for it, and the infantry can be useful, but it also cannot be useful. Um, and so yeah, it will be interesting. Right, AA. Once again, a pretty average category, with the Heimatschutztruppen bringing large quantities of single-barreled 20mm AA guns of all sorts, while the nearby Flaracht Regiment 4 delivers some heavier cover with Eyehawks and double-barreled 20mm. So these things are absolutely lit. Might as well just explain this here. So, large quantities of single-barreled 20mm AA guns of all sorts is kind of weird because I believe the Germans only have one. Although I suppose he might be referring to the fact that, because like this and this is it, you know, maybe you'll get it on a truck or something, but this is French. But yeah, these aren't amazing, but what you can do is two-vet them, and then they're like a Zwillinger, which is the double-barreled one, which is just way, way, way better for 10 points more. And there's a few reasons for that, but if we just... okay, 20mm. Yes. Well, it's popular caliber. Yes. So the Zwillinger just automatically has double the accuracy, which doesn't really make much sense because if you got two barrels, presumably the accuracy would be less, and so that just means it automatically has double the DPS because that's how that works. And on top of that, it also fires more bullets in a salvo, which does make sense. And so that means that it deals, you know, its rate of fire is higher, so it deals more than double damage for not twice the price. But what you can do with the single one is if you two-vet it, then you get 20% accuracy, and then basically it's a Zwillinger, but you only get like 5 availability. But then if you look at first Luftilandy, this one comes at 1 vet for free, so you can 2-vet it only losing 3, and that's really good. And that's why you bring this one instead of that one, because it's 5 points less, has the same accuracy, and has forward deployment, which is super useful at the start. Yeah, it doesn't... it only costs you 2 availability. So yeah, it won't be the airborne one though. So you'll have like 5 availability on it at 2 vet. The Panzer Brigade 9 brings a single card of Gepard 1A1s and some Fliegerfaust Manpad teams, while the Heeresflieger Versuchsstaffel 910 deploys a card of the new Bo 105 Bush 1 with ATAS Stinger. So that's cool. Another kind of, you know, they're testing it and stuff. So these bows, right, you could basically just put loads of random crap on them. But the German army, because there was no bloody war, didn't do it. And so that's why 2nd Panzergrenadier and 5th Panzer don't have autocannon helos. But then if you look at the same helicopter in Spanish service, it's like HR-15 or something. So this, I believe, is a bow, because if we just look at the bow... no, wait, yeah, what? Is that the same helicopter? It sort of looks like it, but... Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. It's just this one stood up more because it's got a big gun under it. Yeah, the Germans obviously... Sorry, the Spanish obviously have the same thing with an autocannon. So it would be cool to be like, okay, yeah, also they've got an autocannon one because, you know, whatever. At least you get the AA one, so that's cool. And so that would be a 3 per card. Very similar to these, most likely. So they're all right. There's something really weird going on with these heli-launched missiles, man. If you look at like the Polish ones, these are also 4 per card. But so okay, so Strela 2M has more aircraft range than the Stinger. And okay, yeah, whatever. Here's the same Strela 2M, but launched from the ground. I'm not saying they should change it, because then it would then it'd just be useless. But it is kind of weird. So like funny Gwynny whatever Gnoznig versus Apache ATAS, you'll notice that the Gvoznig goes further against against planes than the Apache does. This little Polish meme machine, whatever. But yeah, I think that's a good addition. Great, good stuff. Good stuff. So basically, right, whenever you see them doing something that's a little bit out of left field, just compliment them, please, because they unironically have a cabal of these history guys just constantly whispering in their ears saying, that's not realistic, that's not realistic, that's not realistic, and telling them to remove stuff. I'm not making this up. And so if they don't hear you saying this is good, all they hear is them saying this is bad. Helis. Average, with only a handful of Bopar 1 helicopters flying in support from the nearby Cell airbase. Looks like they got to them. Looks like they're not this with a gun on it. No, not realistic in it. Although piloted by Bundeswehr pilots, the new UH-1D Hess actually belonged to the British National Department, the Bundesnachrichtendienst. Sorry, I didn't say that right. The Bundesnachrichtendienst. They're just making these words up, man. That's not a real word. Federal Intelligence Service. Bundes is federal, right? Nachricht. News, okay. Nachricht. Message. Oh, whatever, okay. Anyway. West Germany's Foreign Intelligence Service. Only 2 such SIGINT UH-1s had been modified and were stationed in Achelon near Bremen and will be pressed into combat duty with this battle group. So that's going to be... you're going to get 2 in a card. That's a bit rough. But... well, that's the same as everybody else's, right? It's going to be like the Puma Het. Presumably. But it'll be a Huey, so it'll be slower. But they said it's SIGINT, not Jammer. But SIGINT ones tend to also be Jammer Dad in this game. I'm trying to think of one that's... I guess it's a quick fix, but that's got more HP. So, because if you look at how... So it'll probably be something like this. The SIGINT trait is kind of ass. Hopefully they make it a bit better. I'm trying to think... Huey. Because Hueys aren't very fast. They go at 180. So we'll see if it gets ECM and stuff. But otherwise it's just going to be a Recon Helo. Oh no, it's in the Heli tab. Has it got guns on it, or what? What? I mean, these always come in the Recon tab, so that's very strange. Interesting. Air. 5306. Pretty good, with air support coming from 2 main sources. The Jagd Vada 36 flying Phantoms, primarily as a ground support wing. This Luftwaffe outfit brings a new F-40 AA2 variant with 2 Hellfires and 4 Sidewinders. Wait, AIM 9. Yeah, Sidewinders. F. Which one's the F? So I know about the Ligma and the Mega. What's the F? Phantom. Right, because this is the Ligma. J is not very good. F. But that's the AIM 7F. So what's the AIM 9F? Is that in the game? Anyway, this is the Maverick. So it's this, but with Sidewinders, right? And also German. F4F80. So you still have Sidewinders. So it's that, but with 2 fewer Mavericks and... So, but like, what is the... Those are L's. Those are L improved. L. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what an AIM 9F is. I've not seen it in the game. I can't search by weapon, right? So... do let me know. I'm sure it's probably already in the game. Unless they mean the AIM 7F. But AIM 9F. I'm trying to think. Who's getting the AIM 9F? Like, what about the Spanish, maybe? I mean, I'm sort of scraping the barrel here. AIM 9F. Those are the P's. Yeah, so like the P's, the J's, the L's, the M's. I know those. I don't know an AIM 9F. Unusually, this regiment had a third Statel, providing the Luftwaffe conversion training from the F4E to the F4F. That's why West Germans will not. That's why the West Germans will not only feature the F4FAA, but will also hold on to, in real life, around 10 F4Es, with the American capability to fire the long-range Sparrow missiles retained. So this will be presumably a lot like so new plane, great. The F4FAA we sort of passed in our search, but this is that one, right? So it's decent. They used to be like pretty broken, but they're still pretty good. They just you got to use them sort of as revenge. But I mean, you've got Ihawk, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. You literally, this is just going to be a good div because you've got Ihawks and tanks. We'll save it for the summary, and then the F4E is the this thing. So it depends which missile they give it, right? Because this was recently it was upgraded and then downgraded, and then somebody wrote a comment on one of my videos like, why do they always nerf it? It literally was upgraded first, and then it just went back to the way it was before. So it depends if they give it the AIM 9F or the better one, or even the worse one, like the because the British one's a lot worse because it's got no gun for stars. The Sidewinder missiles are better, but the main ones have 700 meters less range, which isn't great, especially with the accuracy scaling. And all that for only 10 points less. Like, basically, the one on the left should be 3 per card. Or it could be like the C-12, the Spanish one, right? Which is... I suppose that's not got a gun either. Or it could be the upgraded ones, like the F-16s, which have, when we get there, the AIM-9N, which goes further. So, who knows? I assume it'll be just this again. Except these won't be J's, they'll be L's, or these AIM-9Fs. The Yag whatever brings the Nimble Alpha Jet, which you've seen before, with a more standard series of HE, cluster, and rocket payloads. So those are in TKS. So if we just look at TKS, and nobody brings them, because why would you? You can get, 2 more of this one, and they both have 6 HP, and this one's faster. So why these are only 3 per card? Well, I do know why. It's because... some people think this is really OP. They keep telling everybody it's really OP. Because you can buy all 3 at once and send them all out, and if your enemy's got no AA, well, if your enemy's got no AA, you were going to win anyway, because your enemy's a fucking retard. So, anyway. HE, cluster, and rocket. HE, cluster, rocket, although... yeah, but it's only going to be 3 per card, apparently. They used to be 4. And then I beat Darrick's, and he nerfed it to 3, and then it never went back up. So, summary. So, we'll cover the next one in the next video, because this has already been an hour, and basically my average view time on these videos is like 10 minutes. So, it doesn't make sense to just record a 2-hour one, because it's still 10 minutes. And anyway... It's decent. It's decent. I prefer the American one, basically, but I mean it's not a bad div, right? I'll admit. So we've seen all 3 NATO ones now. They're kind of bad compared to the previous Nemesis. Like, you can tell like the quality is going down. Some of that is because a lot of things have been added to the game, so it's like, well, this is similar to this, and it's similar to this, and if there's more to compare it to, then it just seems like it's already in the game. But essentially, on paper, it sounds like it's going to be very meta, because you basically just get a bunch of reservist crap, but you just get Marder 1A3s, right? It says a few, so at least 1 card. Probably 2 cards of Marder 1A3 Milans. Well, that's all you need. MG3, Milan 2, Milan 1, well, that's all you need, really. and then this thing, and maybe Carter Heimat Jaegers or whatever. Artillery, all you need is this and this, and you're gaming. And then the tanks, Jaguar 1, Jaguar 2, good. At least 2 cards of Leopard 2 A4s, or Leopard 2s in general, because, well, it says a sizable amount of Leopard 2 A4s. So that's going to be at least 2 cards of this alone. Although a sizable amount would imply 3. So 3 cards of Leopard 2 A4s. You bring them at 1 vet, so that's 6 of those. And then this thing, which, that's probably just going to be like a Leopard 1A, 1A1, except leader. And then this thing, which they said they only have 2, so hopefully they're like, oh, it's a war, let's make more, as opposed to Wormtongue in their ear. It's not historically accurate, my lord. Gandalf is not welcome here. I mean, that's pretty cool, actually. This is very cool, this tank. And then the Leopard 2A4D is pretty interesting. So that's all pretty interesting. And if these can be vetted to 1 vet, they're good, and if they can't, then they're not. So it's as simple as that. The Recon tab, yeah, you get outclear. Like, there's no forward deployment, you don't really need it. This outplay of Armada 1A3 sounds interesting. That's going to be a ball ache to fight, because it's got 5 armor, so it's just going to sit there slinging Milan. Oh, it's only Milan 1s at you, so you'll survive a hit. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. You'll notice there's no like Iltis Milan 2. So if you really want defensive options, you got to rely on the Jaguars, and they're a bit pricey, so you might actually end up bringing this just to stick in a bush somewhere. And this will be defensive, right? And so there's enough here to do what you need to do. Recon, Hilo, Jaeger, Aufklärer, Lux. You'll notice those are already in the base game. The AA, Eihort, Gepard, Flieger, Faust, so that's just second Panzergren. Svillinger, that's obviously very good. This thing is good for some interesting openers. People do bring these in the openers. They buy all 3 at the start, put them near each other. It can work. I don't. I basically never do it, but other people do, and they find great success with it. Other good players. Sadly, this without a gun was a bridge too far, apparently. Sorry, this with a gun was a bridge too far. So you get, for some reason, something that should be in the Recon tab, in your Heli tab, and you get the Bopar 1. Which is that the good one? Because there's 2. There's 2. One of them's the good one, and one of them's... So the 1 is the hot 1, and the 1A1 is the hot 2. So, okay, so it'll be the hot 1-1, which is not as good as the 1A1-1. So, this thing is... I don't understand why that's in that tab. Maybe it literally isn't Recon, and it's only SIGINT, in which point... Like, there's literally no point in bringing that, if that's the case. Air, so this is F4AT, but they've called it an F4T2. So it's, I mean, because the F4AT, F4, it's this, right? It's alright, it misses a lot, frankly, and you're going to have fewer missiles, but generally these don't sit around long enough to fire all 4 missiles. They fly in, they miss, they get hit, they evac. That's their play. So whether or not, I mean, this mystery missile, the AIM-9F, I'm sure it's in the game somewhere. I just don't know where. I'm sure somebody will tell me, but obviously by then the video is over. Because like these are AIM-9Ms, and if you look at even stuff like the Intruders, or whatever, Prowlers, or what the hell are they called? Corsairs, that was it. They're L's as well. So what is this AIM-9F? Because if it's actually, if they're actually AIM-7Fs, then that's going to be an absolutely lit plane. Actually, yes, it says AA2. This is probably an AIM-7F. So it's actually just a long-range fighter. maybe because that is the that's this. So yeah, that's probably what it is actually. So it's going to have 4 long-range missiles and 2 Mavericks. I mean, yeah, because if you look at the only other plane I can think of that's sort of like that is the British ones on fourth UK, and basically they're kind of hard to use as a fighter because they have the 10-second travel time because they're a bomber. so they get the 10-second travel time. But this is a cluster, so it's a and this is a HE, so it's a bomber first and a fighter second. Whereas this is a fighter first and a bomber second. So it might come in 2 seconds, but I doubt it will because somebody will be like, that's imbalanced, and then it just won't happen. So I doubt it'll work like that. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Honestly, I prefer the American div to this one, but if this wins, I won't be upset. And I'll cover the packed one in the next video, which I'm definitely not going to record right now. Channel members get in early.